The 112th Congress passed the Honoring America's Veterans and Caring for Camp Lejeune Families Act in 2012, and former President Obama signed it into law. Now, this law allowed veterans and their family members who were exposed to the toxic water at Camp Lejeune to automatically qualify for certain types of medical benefits through the Veterans Administration. Veterans and their eligible family members who lived on base for 30 or more days between 1953 and 1987 and later developed qualifying health conditions were supposed to be automatically eligible for benefits under this law in 2012. The eligibility date for benefits differed based on when the veteran served at Camp Lejeune. Those who served at the base for at least 30 days between 1957 and 1987 were first entitled to benefits in August of 2012. Those who served or lived at the base between 1953 and 1956 were first eligible for benefits in December of 2014. To claim benefits, vets and their family members had to present evidence that they had a qualifying condition that had manifested to a degree of 10% or more at any time after service. However, many veterans and their family members who have developed one of the qualifying cancers or other conditions have been denied benefits from the VA despite their service at Camp Lejeune and exposure to the contaminated water during this relevant period. An investigative report conducted by CBS News reviewed claims filed by vets for benefits, and this was after their exposure to this Camp Lejeune water. Now, despite having qualifying conditions, most of the vets and their family members who had filed claims had been denied or had their claims delayed for several years. According to CBS, the rate of approval was initially quite low at only 25%. However, the VA started using subject matter experts to review claims for benefits. CBS found that many of these experts did not have the requisite qualifications to assess the types of conditions the veterans and their family members had. After the VA started using subject matter experts to review claims, CBS further found that the approval rate declined sharply, reaching a low of 1% of claims approved in the year 2014. It's ridiculous. The problem has continued, leaving thousands of veterans and their family members without financial compensation for the losses they suffered. This has led Congress to try to address the problem through new legislation.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely, the lovely law firm.
Hey guys, I'm Randy Romero with the Carolina Justice Report, here yet again for another episode. Today we're chatting about what you need to know, the top 3 things you need to know about golf carts. So I'm being joined by attorneys Justin Lovely and Sarah Austin, and we are chatting all about the things folks need to know with golf carts. So I didn't realize that this was even a thing, but obviously here in Myrtle Beach, there's a lot of people that own golf carts. So there's a whole set of different rules for that, huh?
Yes, there's a huge golf cart population here. I guess that's what I'm going to call it, because everybody's got them. Tourists want them when they come on vacation. People who live here have them when they live in communities, so they can drive to the beach. So they're everywhere.
I feel like it's gotten really big within the past, 5-10 years, where I feel like now everybody, because before it wasn't such it was kind of just for golf courses and maybe like some campgrounds or something like that. And now it's like everybody in neighborhoods have them.
Yeah, well, they're fun to drive, right?
Yeah,
so everybody loves a golf cart, right?
Yeah.
So you get easier for it, instead of having to drag everything to the beach in your car and get it all sandy, you can throw it on a golf cart and get down to the beach. So it's very convenient. And you're right, they've been growing big time in the beach.
Yeah.
So much so there's lawsuits now, and they're adding even more litigation as far as who gets a decal to rent these things out. The moped and golf cart rental business in Myrtle Beach is very competitive because the tourists want them, and they basically have a little monopoly on them. And so there's like 4 or 5 companies that basically have all of these. But the issue is more golf carts, more mopeds on the street, where there's more traffic, more people can get hurt.
Yeah.
And it slows down the whole issue for first responders to get through the roads in Myrtle Beach. So they've really started to regulate those, and they give more and more each year, but now it's more controlled. That's a city ordinance that they've kind of done within the city limits.
Okay. So, our first tip kind of pertains to folks that are renting these golf carts. So there are not that many licensed places to rent these from, right?
Right. So you got to make sure that they have a city license, that they have these, there'll be a decal. They sell them by decal per moped and per golf cart.
Okay.
So if you're renting from somebody random that you find on the internet, or maybe through an Airbnb, or maybe through even Turo, those online rideshare companies, and it's a golf cart, that is probably an unlicensed golf cart. You need to make sure you're going to like Myrtle Beach Golf Carts, one of these main licensed people who have these decals, and more importantly, have insurance in the event an accident happened while you're, on the golf cart with your family.
Interesting. Have we seen any golf cart cases yet at our law firm?
Oh yeah, we've had a couple.
Yeah.
Interesting. Man, I did not know it was like.
And the issue is you're not restrained, right?
Yeah.
So when you get hit, you come to a stop, even if it's low speed on a golf cart, you're getting thrown from that golf cart.
Right.
And these golf carts are just made out of cheap metal. It's not like a car. Plastic, yeah. So, because they're made for the golf course, right? They're not made to be riding on the roads.
Right. All right, and then we have our second tip. So there's a whole kind of list of different regulations for golf carts as far as, when you can drive and where you can drive, right?
Yeah. So everybody needs to keep this in mind, because I see this rule broken every day, but the officers are really starting to crack down on this stuff. So you can only, first of all, you have to have a driver's license. Okay. So you can't just let your kid drive a golf cart.
Okay.
Cops are going to pull you over, getting a ticket.
I feel like that's for kids too. Sometimes the tourists will come down and treat it like it's like a go-kart or something.
Yeah.
It's fun to drive, just get on there, but there's laws.
Because the speed doesn't go very fast. So you feel
Right.
like it's a safer thing for them to drive, but you don't realize that they're not allowed to do that.
Got to have a license, yeah. Now, if you own it privately, you have to have a golf cart decal from the DMV as well. So you can't just drive yours around. If you think if you own a golf cart that you can drive it around, well, if you don't have the DMV decal, well, you can get a ticket for that.
Crazy. And then what about where you can go?
Yeah, so you can only have it within 4 miles of whatever the registered address is. So if you live in Myrtle Beach, just say off 38th Avenue, I'm just throwing this out there.
Sure.
4 miles around that, anywhere past that, and you're going to get a ticket for that. Because they don't want you driving it. They don't want it to be like a personal vehicle. It's supposed to be like a real quick ride to the beach, whatever it may be.
Right. Interesting.
Can't be at night,
Okay.
because
what is that considered though? Because all these golf carts, they have headlights on them.
Right, but dusk, once the sun goes down, that's considered do not have the golf cart out past that time.
Okay.
And then also it has to be on secondary roads, so you can't get out there on 501 in a golf cart.
That would be scary.
Yeah.
That would be scary anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, still good to know because I'm sure people have done it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's their mode for transportation. Now, are these like newer regulations? Have they always been in place?
Well, they've been amended over the years, right? Because people always start having golf carts, and something's got to get regulated,
Right,
and more
right,
and more rules apply, and that's when these more cities put even more regulation on these.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because I had a golf cart growing up in my neighborhood, and gosh, I mean, thinking now of all the rules, I'm like,
Yeah, I
would've
used to
get in
come
trouble.
down when I was younger in the Shore Drive area, and there was golf carts being rented almost every corner. Like
Right.
everyone had a golf cart on all those roads, and now none of those places are there, and probably because they've cracked down. You
Yeah.
have to have the decal, you have to be licensed, which I think is a good thing.
it is a good thing. I mean, it's a safety measure, right? It's to
Right.
try and help protect people. I mean, because my family always would go to like Ocean Lakes or different campgrounds too, and oh my gosh, it's just like a sea of golf carts. But I know even there, they've really cracked down on watching the ages of people and making sure that they're licensed to be driving. So interesting.
Well, here's another tip. It's just coming to mind right here. You got to have a insurance policy, a separate insurance policy on that golf
Well,
cart.
that is our third tip, so that
Okay, well,
works
there you
out.
go.
That works
Third
out.
tip. Okay, so you have to have a separate insurance policy on here, okay? Sometimes we might be able to pull back to a homeowner's policy, but generally, insurers now, because of these regulations, they make you have a separate golf cart policy.
Okay.
And if you do not have that, and you get hurt, or you hurt somebody else, you're on the hook. You're 100%
Right.
liable. Insurance company's not going to step in and take care of you.
So yeah, so those that have insurance but not on their golf cart, you're wide open for that to be a problem.
And
Well,
that's the
good
worst
to know.
case. You don't
Well,
want
can they still go to their normal insurance providers to just add that on?
Yeah, you just got to make
or-
a phone call. Say, hey,
Okay.
I got a golf cart that you'll have give them your little DMV number and your decal you're going to get from the DMV, and
Okay.
they'll add it 15 minutes.
Now, when we're talking about kind of driving a car versus driving the golf cart and different rules that apply, how does that, correlate with like a DUI or something like that?
Yeah,
Is it the same rules?
Yeah, you can absolutely get a DUI in South Carolina on a golf cart.
And a lot of people do every summer.
Well, I believe it because kind of like boats. It's kind of the same thing. When you're in like a fun environment, you're kind of hanging out outside, and people do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you'll get pulled over. You'll do the roadside tests, and you'll be going to Myrtle Beach jail for the night. It's not pleasant. So.
Is it the same like alcohol level?
Yeah. If you're 0.08,
Okay.
they're going to do the roadside tests, field sobriety testing. And if they have to go the next step, they're going to take you in. They're going to make you blow.
Yeah.
And just because you're on a golf cart, that's not an excuse. You're going to get a DUI.
I am like slightly surprised though, just because golf carts can only go like 30 miles an hour or something like that. So it's never a good idea to drink and do anything like that causes, safety hazards. But I'm just kind of surprised that maybe the alcohol level isn't a little bit higher or anything like that.
Well, the alcohol level is going to be, that's state law. It's standard, 0.08.
Gotcha.
And really, if you blow a 0.05, it's in the officer's discretion to take you.
Okay.
So just because if you think I had one beer, you pull, if you're over 0.05, and the officer thinks you're materially and appreciably impaired, you can't operate that golf cart on the Myrtle Beach roads, you're going to jail.
Okay.
And then you got to defend a damn DUI.
Right.
Just because you were trying to take a shortcut and rent a golf cart to drive your car. Just don't drive your car, don't drink and drive, and don't drink and drive a golf cart.
Sure.
Don't drink and drive anything.
Yeah,
Don't drink and
Probably
just
be
don't
safe.
do it, you know?
Don't do it.
Well,
That's
let
the
me
easiest
ask you a couple of other questions as far as golf carts, because now I'm interested. So some golf carts, they have seatbelts put in, and then most standard ones obviously don't have seatbelts. But does that matter? Is there any kind of code against seatbelts or having them or anything like that?
Well, all golf carts are different, okay? And that's one of the reasons that the city is regulating these things now, because you can have an electric vehicle, and you may assume, hey, it's just a golf cart. It's not going to go slow. I'm going to let my little kid drive it. And that's a damn electric vehicle. It's going to go 50 miles an hour.
Right.
And it has seatbelts, but
Right. Well,
I mean,
some
you
are
can get hurt.
motorized, some of them are gas powered, while
some are
others
gas,
are...
some are electric. Some of the electric, though, are more powerful than the gas.
Really?
So,
I saw the gas were more.
And they can have a bigger motor in a gas powered.
Man.
So that's why we always got to regulate it. Everybody's got to know what they're getting into, make sure they're insured.
Okay.
That way we don't have these fly-by-night people doing just that, renting to a young family who comes down here on vacation. They let their little kids ride while the parents are trying to enjoy the beach, and then there's a wreck happen.
Gotcha.
So, and those are the issues, and that's why we have to have these regulations.
So, folks, you just want to be careful out there. Do the same rules apply, as far as if there is an accident, they need to take pictures, get checked out, all that stuff?
Same things you always hear us preach.
Okay. Which is take pictures of the scene, go get medically treated, and do not talk to the insurance. Go see a lawyer.
There you go.
Aren't
do
you
know
proud
it.
of me?
There you go.
I've learned something.
on.
I've learned something.
I love it.
Well, thank you both for chatting about this. I hope this helped you guys with golf carts. I mean, again, it's so popular right now. So if you have one, make sure you put some insurance on that separately. And we will chat with you soon. Thanks for watching today, the Carolina Justice Report. We have new episodes that drop every Tuesday at 2 p.m. And of course, you can see us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Find us anywhere that you consume your media. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll see you next time.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely. The lovely law firm.
Hey everyone, I'm attorney Justin Lovely. I'm here with another episode of the Carolina Justice Report videocast and podcast. I'm here with my associate attorney, John Paul Simkovich. We call him JP. You can call him John Paul or JP. And we're going to be having another discussion like we have been on some legal topics that are of some interest to our audience here. Today we're going to talk about premises liability cases. Those are big here at the beach and down in Charleston. And it's really an encompassing area of the law, a lot of different topics we can talk about. We're going to touch on some of the big points and just have a discussion and kind of educate our viewers. If you like this video, again, I ask you on every video or podcast, like and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, of course, or our website, wherever you consume your media. So John Paul, what's going on today, man?
Yeah, feeling good.
Cool deal. Well, let's keep talking here. Let's talk about this premises liability. And we see a lot of slip and falls here with the hotels. We got a lot of hotels here at the beach and down in Charleston, big tourism area. Obviously when the rush we're getting down towards the end of the rush because the summer season's over. Yeah. So the phone calls will slow down, but we're still getting them coming in. And it could be a hotel, the amusement parks, rental homes. Mm-hmm. Just briefly, give me your definition of what you think premises liability law is in South Carolina.
Yeah, premises liability law in South Carolina is essentially whenever anyone's invited to their property, whether or not it's over to someone's home or you're going to visit a business, maybe you're going shopping, you're at a grocery store, you're renting a condo at a resort here in Myrtle Beach or down in Charleston, and you're injured because the property owner, whoever's in charge of maintaining the property, didn't alarm you or alert you to a defect that created your injury. That's kind of a legalese way to say it, but essentially, there was a danger. They knew there was a danger, or should have known there was a danger, and because of that, you got injured.
Yeah. And so that's a lot of the bigger cases in our office are these slip and fall cases.
Yeah.
The good news is we're usually dealing with like a corporate defendant who has good insurance. Usually we're dealing with $1 million policies. So unlike a car wreck where sometimes there's only a minimum of $25,000, we're dealing with a 7-figure policy. So that's a good thing about them. But yeah, you're right. It's anything. And just, I mentioned hotels just because we got a lot of that with the tourists that get down here, and they'll slip and fall at a pool, for instance, or maybe at a restaurant, anything. Let's say that, a property owner's down here and they know there's something. Let's just use the hotel for an example.
Okay.
Let's say there's a dangerous condition. Let's say there's something wrong with maybe some tiles at the pool.
Okay.
And they've had some complaints. How soon should that owner, now that he knows about this dangerous condition, repair that?
Well, in an ideal world, immediately. They really are given kind of a reasonable time. What reasonable is different to everyone else. Yeah. But they're under an absolute obligation. If they know that someone had been injured there, if they can't fix it immediately, they need to coordinate or, block it off, make a sign, highlight it in bright orange tape, do something to make sure that no one else also suffers the same injury. Right. So they need to take those steps immediately.
And something that we saw with COVID is down here at the beach, it was so hard to rehire people. And so what they were doing, they didn't have maintenance men, they didn't have staff, right? So these hotels, these resorts, even restaurants are understaffed. They had these known issues. People are getting hurt. They just didn't have the time or resources to go back and repair these. And they were on notice. So, and it's bad for the tourists who got hurt, but it's actually good for their case because it's all documented now. But that was a big problem with the tourism industry. People may or may not know this about Myrtle Beach, but there's the J1 students that come over from overseas really run probably 30% of that staffing. So that's something that's popped up, and we've been able to get some cases out of it just because there's so many more issues happening.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah,
if you think about it. One classic law school example is they say you're shopping at a grocery store and a banana peel's on the floor. Well, I know you don't see people actually slip on banana peels anymore, but if that banana peel's brown, that means that a lot of time has transpired and that store should have done some kind of sweep, found it, removed it, and stopped someone from slipping on it.
Right.
If it was almost green and yellow, then maybe it hasn't been there as long. So they need to take reasonable steps to secure it and make sure that it's a safe condition as soon as possible.
Right. And using that example, or a hotel or any premises, really video surveillance that our team digs in, our investigation team, and then us through discovery, that can really turn the case. And that will usually not be produced to us unless we file a lawsuit.
Absolutely. And, prior incident reports, if we can find out that they knew this was a dangerous condition, the first thing we hear is this was open and obvious. People could see this raised piece of cement. They could see the dip in the floor. They should have never walked there. But when we can show that the hotel has had other people get injured, we can prove that they were on notice that this was dangerous. Right. And that helps the case tremendously.
And many people will come down here on vacation. They get hurt. They may go to the ER down here or may not, or they'll try to just rough it out because they're on vacation. Then they go home and realize, well, I'm really hurt. I got a slipped disc. I got a torn MCL, whatever it is. And they may have gave their information to the premise owner, but they're getting ghosted. There's no phone calls from an adjuster. Or they get a phone call. They try to get them to give a recorded statement, right? Which is going to be used against them later. It's totally ridiculous. And then it's just like a zero offer. They're not going to do anything. So what do you say to those people? There's really only one thing they need to do.
They need to hire an attorney.
Absolutely.
I mean, with cases like this, you almost have to file suit 100% of the time. There's really no settling before a lawsuit, unfortunately. They need to know that you're serious and you have the expertise. You know, when we get hired, we're going to send people to document the scene, send preservation letters. So if there was a video of the incident, we make sure that that hotel, that resort, that landowner doesn't destroy that video because we want to see it. You know, it's going to be evidence in the case. But all too often, these videos get written over. They're on a loop, you know, and if we wait 3-6 months, then I can almost guarantee you that video has been destroyed. And they can kind of wiggle out of it and say, well, you know, that's our standard course of business. So if we get involved, we sign up the client, they sign with us. We're going to send those preservation letters out immediately, make sure that all the evidence that we need is preserved so we can actually pursue the case and win the case.
Yeah. And remember, the insurance adjuster is not working. Let me just talk to the camera. They're not working for you, okay? They have unlimited resources. They don't want to pay you anything. And they're taking your statement simply to deny, delay, devalue your claim. You've heard me say the 3 Ds several times. And also, when you're giving a statement, you might be jacked up on adrenaline because you just got hurt. You just got back off vacation usually, or whatever the case may be, and you're not really accurately talking. And so never give a statement. Don't do that. If you ever have to give a statement, it'll be with JP or me standing beside you at a deposition. And you spoke on the need to litigate. Some clients are kind of timid about that, but there's really nothing that they need to do. That's the heavy lifting's on us. They'll have to give a deposition. Do you want to just touch on that?
Yeah. So I mean, the heavy lifting's all done by us, kind of behind the scenes. We're going to be, once we get involved and we do have to file a lawsuit, where the landowner and the insurance company is going to hire a defense attorney, so we're going to be dealing with them. What we would need from our clients is just a clear and accurate record of how it happened. The actual facts of how their injury occurred is vital. So then we find out where they treated, because we want to get their medical records and, you know, make that good documentation of what their injuries have, what they've gone through and how the injury occurred. And other than that, maybe participating in a deposition, which is just coming into our office in a similar room like this and just telling the truth. You know, they'll be asked about it. You or I will be next to them to protect their rights. We'll object if we need to, but they just need to tell the honest truth, explain how it happened and how it's really, you know, turned their life upside down. From there, we can kind of take it all the way to trial, and then maybe they would have to participate in trial if it reached that point. But the majority of the time, it will be just their involvement of telling us the facts and letting us argue on their behalf.
Yeah. The biggest thing, and we always tell this when a new client signs, is let us worry about all the legal issues, the adjuster, everything. You worry. Just talk to our medical staff and our paralegals. But you know, as a client, you worry about going to the doctor, get to feeling better,
Absolutely.
and follow the doctor's orders. Okay, that's another big.
Yeah, that's their primary job.
Absolutely. So let's just touch base on, you know, a lot of these cases. It's not like a car wreck where they're going to settle pre-lit. You know, rare is the premises liability case that settles pre-litigation, and the big issue touched on this too is the notice requirement. But the other issue that we normally have is we just can't give, if it's like you said, if there's a raised piece of concrete, if there's a building code violation, we can't just say that as the lowly law firm. We're going to have to retain an expert. Okay.
Yes.
And, you know, we have a network with the best experts for premises cases in South Carolina. Sometimes we go out of state to pull them in, but just touch on that base, the need to have an expert to give us an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I can look at a piece of raised concrete that you tripped over and yell till the day is long that this was a dangerous condition and that my client deserves compensation. But we need an engineer, a human factors expert, someone that has actually done the testing and can opine to the, you know, the reasons why this is a dangerous condition, why this, you know, we have building codes. We have building codes for a reason,
Right.
And that's for the safety of everyone that's going to be on that property. And we need an expert to testify and explain why this building code was violated and what they could have done to, you know, remedy this dangerous condition. So the expert's opinion will carry a lot of the weight when we're making arguments. You know, we use their opinions to make arguments and they're supporting it. Like you said, we work with experts all the time. You know, have their numbers in our cell phones, pull them from out of state. We were just talking earlier about, you know, experts in Colorado and Illinois, and we'll find them if we need them. And a lot of times with a premises case, every time we need them.
Yeah. And it costs money. That's not cheap. But we have the resources here that we can retain them and let them use their expertise to work up the case to add value. Because the slam dunk that we want is that building code violation, right?
Yes, that's the best thing we can
If
have.
we hear that, it's great. We're arguing over damages, not liability.
Exactly.
Because they'll try to beat these cases on liability. And if we don't have the damages to support it, I mean, it's not going to justify the attorney's fees and costs. And we're up front with the client, once we do an intake and do an analysis of their case facts.
Hiring an expert isn't cheap, but that's why you want to come to a firm that's been well established and can actually put forth the money to hire the experts. So we have an opinion. I always tell my clients, we're going to act like we're going to go to trial. We're hopeful that we can get it resolved without having to go to trial, but we're going to prepare every case like we're going to see the inside of a courtroom. And so you need that expert opinion, and we have the resources to retain them and hire them and, talk to them and do everything we need to. So we can present everything to the insurance company, that landowner, and say, look, this is why your goose is cooked.
Yeah. The other thing about you touched on this earlier about getting an attorney early. So
yes.
You need to get to an attorney early, but you also need to get to an attorney who knows the experts, because guess who's getting to these experts before we do? The defense, right?
Yeah.
And if they hire them, we got to go start searching for somebody else who's going to give a differing opinion. Of course, that's not usually the experts that we would retain. It just depends on the facts.
Sure.
But some of these are hired guns who might get to it before we do, and they give an opinion that's not going to be favorable for the client.
And the other reason you want to retain an attorney immediately is you might have a dangerous condition, and the landowner knows that raised piece of concrete, that huge piece of the pothole, the area in the sidewalk that's collecting water and creating slippery conditions. They realize you got hurt there, so they're going to fix it as soon as possible. And then when we go back to the scene to try and point to it and say, look, jury, this is the condition, it's not there anymore.
Right.
So you need to hire an attorney quickly so we can get someone out there. You have a great network of investigators that will go there, trained, and they can document the scene. So we have the pictures, and then we can have our expert rely on the photos if the landowner goes back and corrects a dangerous condition that they knew was already there.
And a great takeaway from that statement is just, if you're hurt, try to take pictures. We tell this to clients. You're surprised how many people they're swept away, of course, to the ER by ambulance. They forget to take pictures. But if you're down here on vacation and a family member falls or you fall, get that cell phone out, take everything you got, because that will help us, especially the fact that you just described. If they go and fix it, I mean, it's an uphill battle.
It is. So document it, take those photos. If you're in the ambulance in the hospital, get a loved one to do it, whatever you can.
Well, we can talk till we're blue in the face about this. There's different rabbit holes that we can go down, because we can talk about restaurants and how those are different, how hotels are different, how pools are different, and we will, but not in this episode. So that's going to be enough for today with the Carolina Justice Report. Again, I'm attorney Justin Lovely, and this was John Paul Simkovich. If you have any issues related to a slip and fall or any kind of premises case that you may have, reach out to us. We'll talk to you for free. We'll let you know our opinion if we think it's something we can pursue for you. Again, if you like this, reach out to us on social media. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you consume.
When life